let's go. Hello everybody and welcome to Wowhead Weekly Show number 153. I'm Annie Fuchsia, I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch and will be your host for the night and every week, together with the lovely Perculia.
Hey everyone, I am Wowhead Site Director. I oversee all the news and guides and various features on the site, and we do the show every week to share all the fun data mining hype and let you know about what we're doing on Wowhead for the week and answer questions that our different communities have about what's going on in the game. We have a giveaway going on this week. It is a shadow companion pet, and the keyword to enter in Twitch chat is just one word, shadow. And yeah, we've got a lot of big allied race reveals at the Q&A. And we had another Battle for Azeroth build with lots of cool models. So yeah, it should be a good show.
So yes, you just type shadow in the chat to enter the giveaway. Someone asked if Sass is here. Is Sass actually the one taking care of it?
Yes, Sass is taking care of it.
Sass is here, so you can feel safe. You're in good hands tonight.
And if you have any questions about what we're talking about that we didn't answer, you can message Sass and he will compile them and make sure we don't miss them.
So with your questions, just do it at Sass in the chat and he should take care of it. I just saw a subscriber, so might as well thank it. Belandriel, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Yeah, let's jump straight into stuff. So the first topic that we'll be covering tonight is allied races. And the first thing that we'll be showing you guys is something that a lot of people have been really excited about. It's the Kul Tiran Druid bear form. Right here. So we've got the different skin colors as well, just going through them in the slideshow. And one of the most interesting parts of this is the fact that on Wowhead, we already had a speculation about this last week. Perk, do you want to go into the details about that?
Yeah, so at the end of Wowhead Weekly, someone was asking what we thought about the Kul Tiran Druids, and I was like, oh, I was actually thinking about this, let me write a post on it, and it got really popular, like Polygon and some other places were covering it. And just to run down why we thought they were coming, as you quest in Drustvar and Tiergard Sound, there are these Kul Tiran humans that you find talking about saving the forest, or ending the corruption, or planting trees after an evil lumber company is chopping them down. And they're all wearing Druid tier sets, and they have names like Theodore Forest Watcher, who's actually in bear form, or like Lysa Tree Warden, Morn Gladeheart, very Druidic sounding names. And then we looked back at the Q&A at Blizzard, and in the art panel, they said, Kul Tiran has some new characters, and the land itself is a very dark land. Witches have been using the ancient Druidic magic called death magic. Because it is a Druidic type of magic, there are large treant wicker-type creatures that walk the land, along with wicker beasts that are made of wood and bone. So, you know, we figured that maybe it wasn't a stretch to have these characters really passionate about nature, becoming druids in some form, and with all the hype surrounding the dinosaur Zandalari druids, people are like, oh, well, you know, what if there was a really cool, twisted nature druid form? So we wrote that up, and people really seem to, you know, like the idea. And
I saw some pictures, like some kind of, I guess, like ideas of how it could look like, and they were actually really cool ideas. And it's awesome that just, you know, a few days later, it's actually been data mined properly, and you can see how they look like. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so the bear came up yesterday, and then it's funny, in the Q&A we had with Ian, the last Battle for Azeroth Q&A we had, he sort of let Mag'har Orcs slip casually, like, oh, you know, like all the known allied races, such as the Mag'har Orcs, and I was like, whoa, that was not a known allied race. And then he did it again, this Q&A. It was the same thing, it was like first question, well, one of the first questions, and he just slipped it in like, oh, you know, all the allied races we previously discussed, like the Kul Tiran humans. So it's like, oh, well, they are 100% a thing now.
Yeah. So it's a confirmed allied race? Pretty much, yes. And I'll just show it again because I think these bear forms actually looks so cool. So I'm just going to skim through them again. it's like tree roots and like the tree horns almost, and like the grassy back. Like it looks really cool. I love it. I did not expect the Kul Tiran to get their own like personal druid form. I thought with the Zandalari it made a lot of sense because of like just how the race is in general. Like it needed something special. But it's really exciting. I think it's really cool that they got that. Yeah, yep. Tree bears. I think it's awesome.
If you need a refresher on customization options, so far we've data mined a lot of hairstyles and facial hair for the Kul Tiran humans. They also have different body types. There's like a larger Kul Tiran male model, and then there's a model called Thin Human. So I don't know if they'll have like different variations in muscle tone. But some of the hairstyles are really pretty, especially for the female Kul Tiras. And yeah, we don't know too much about them. We don't know their mount. We don't know how you unlock them. One could speculate that the really cool trench coats should be part of their heritage armor, especially because like no one else has, a trench coat like that. But that's
it's like a unique style. Yeah. Could do some special colors or design on it or something.
Yeah, it'd be a really distinctive silhouette that nobody else really gets to have.
Yeah, together with a top hat. Yeah, the race we're talking about is Kul Tiran. It's pretty much an allied race which has been confirmed for the Alliance for next expansion.
Yep.
And I assume Kul Tiran will be similar to Zandalari. I think Ian specified Zandalari as not being there at the beginning of BFA, not immediately, but more like, as the story unfolds and the factions, actually go there and do the quests for them and get to know them. And then eventually they become an allied race.
Yeah, so this won't be like a pre-patch thing.
No.
It will just be like, oh, you have to do max level content, which makes sense because a lot of the Alliance storyline is about trying to win over the Kul Tiras and, deal with a lot of stereotypes that have built up about the Alliance throughout the years and show how they can work together. So it makes sense you would get them after you do all that, not when they, hate you and are maybe a little puzzled while you're there.
Yeah. I just noticed that your camera is poking into my camera. So I'm gonna move you a little bit.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. My camera is not injured anymore. Now we're good. Cool. Just a little notice. Yay. Now the cameras are friends. Cool. But yeah, so the Kul Tiran allied race has been 100% confirmed as of today, especially with the Q&A. With the next allied race that we are going to show you guys is the Zandalari. And the cat form, if you guys remember us showing it to you guys last week, we mentioned how they look a little bit stiff, especially with the tail. And now we can see them in animated form.
Yeah, so we've got them dancing, and we've got them jumping, and all sorts of the regular animations. Also, we didn't highlight this last week, but last week added the animations for the bear form. So now they no longer look like kind of, dinosaurs in museum exhibitions. They, they kind of look, they look cool. It's funny seeing a dancing Zandalari cat druid. Feral druid, but I don't know, dinosaur cat.
And the attack animation here does remind a lot of the regular cat form attack. So now it feels more like a cat druid, where before it was like, how is this gonna look?
Yeah.
And the tail is not stiff anymore, for sure.
No. Yeah, it just wiggles around a lot and little spikes move on it, so it looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Right
here
Paw
is
like sitting right out of camera range, just being mesmerized by the GIF on the screen and like flicking his tail at me. So I guess it is feral enough if he is excited to see the cat on the screen.
Mm-hmm. And here is just a reminder of the different skin colors that we showed you guys last week. Just in case you missed it, or in case you need some kind of refreshment, there it is. I like this color. It's a very dark.
Yeah. If you're like, how do I see this on Wowhead with the animations, just either go to the news post or the Zandalari Druid guide post, and under each picture there's a little prompt being like, click here to open up stuff in the model viewer, and once you open that up, there is like one menu, and you can go through all the different animations and see what they look like.
Mm-hmm. And just in the middle here, since we have a moment to breathe, Candace121, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel and supporting Wowhead.
Thank you.
Next allied race in the queue here is the Mag'har Orc. And we have shown you guys the Mag'har Orc heritage armor in the past, but now what's new is that we have 2 new different tints for it. So we have... Okay, it's not showing. Okay, Perk, you can talk about it for a second as I find it.
Sure. All right, so these, a lot of allied races have tints, and they're made for NPCs, but this was interesting because the tints are actually named after factions. So we've got one tint that's named Blackrock, and that's sort of a brownish color, and then another tint that's named Frostwolf, that's the same blue tint we see on the Frostwolf orcs in Warlords of Draenor. And then as a reminder, the default is the more traditional, like, red and brown color associated with the war song and, you know, Orgrimmar and the Horde in general. So it would be cool if you could collect the different tints to show off your clan's heritage, as a lot of these skin tones are really different and, you know, match the tints of the armor pretty well. So, and hopefully that could add up, that could open up options for the other allied races to collect the other colors, because I know people really like the purple Lightforged Draenei and then the kind of Blood Elf red Nightborn armor.
Oh,
people
I
really
was
like the
muted.
Blackrock one. Oh no!
I'm really sorry. Okay. So let's go back. I was saying, okay, now that we got the pictures working, I'm gonna run you through them so you know which one's which one. Really sorry, you guys. We have the default one here, the default armor, which has been shown in the past. This one is on the male and this one is on the female. And then we got the second one here, the Frostwolf one, which has a bit of a blue tint to it. We have it here on the male model. And in a second, there we go, we have it on the female one as well. And the second tint that we have, or the second like different tint from the default, is the Blackrock one, which is here, which is a little bit more to the darker side, a bit more sort of brown, blackish. And yeah, here you see it on both the female and the male.
Yeah,
I need a better way to tell them when I'm muted. I just don't see it. I need like a big red like something that shows like you're muted. My bad, guys. It was a bit of an awkward silence there accidentally. I was actually speaking. I was speaking to myself. Or actually Perk heard me, so I was speaking to Perk.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that sounds so cool.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's also interesting that the Blackrock are included because in Warlords, you know, they joined the Iron Horde, and we obviously fought them in Blackrock Foundry. And Orgrim Doomhammer, he originally had a big role in the Warlords Alpha, and then his role was kind of cut. So we sort of end where the Blackrock Orcs kind of seem like the bad guys, and we defeat them. So it would be cool if we get some more story explaining how this tribe, you know, eventually apparently joined the alliance of the good, you know, orcs, and maybe they'll have more story going forward.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, so that's the Mag'har, basically. As a reminder, they got totems last week, so that's exciting. They're shaman.
Oh, yes. Hey? Yes. They're really cool totems. The next allied race, well, maybe it's not 100% confirmed allied race, but the more information we see about them, the more it does seem like it's an allied race, is the Vulpera. So we've got some new skins to show you guys. The colors aren't new themselves, but they have like sort of different patterns on them.
Yeah, like spots and
spots or little markings. So I'll go through some of them here. Oh, okay. Well, the first thing that pops up here is actually the animation. I might as well talk about that then. And you can see how this animation is so detailed, and it's also very cute, but that's not the point here. The point is that there seems to be so much work put into the Volpera that it would be really strange if it's not an allied race. Like, why would they put so much work and details into a race which is just an NPC or like other...
Yeah, they have like over 100 different animations associated with them. And like this one is called Sleep Up, and usually like an NPC doesn't really need that animation.
Yeah.
So
an NPC doesn't need to wake up from sleeping.
Exactly. Player might. So
yeah. And the skins that I was talking about earlier are these ones. So here, the one that you see right now, or the colors that are going through right now, are the ones that look a bit spotted, as you can see on the back of it and on the tail as well, in the arms. It's basically the colors that we've seen in the past, but now they look a bit spotted on them. And here we got the ones that look a bit different in terms of, actually this one is spotted as well. Soon maybe.
Some of the arms are darker, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point as well. Some of them do appear a little bit darker, and this one here you can see on the tail that it's got sort of stripes and little different markings like that, and you can see them on the ears as well.
Yeah. Just a shout out, the Volpera Hype Caravan emailed me asking to feature these things, and then they actually helped us like make some improvements to our quest and animations on Wowhead. So thank you to them for doing all this research, pointing out all these cool updates.
Yeah. Shout out to them. Also, speaking of new races, I actually forgot to show this to you guys earlier. We have a new YouTube question. So let me bring that in. That was meant to be at the beginning. My bad for not doing that at the beginning.
Every week we're meant to like we pick a question from the YouTube comments so that community feels involved, and then we answer it if it's interesting, and pick one every week to do that. So this one's about allied races.
Because we're live on Twitch, right? If you guys have any questions, you just, at them at Wowhead or at Sass, and, he will take care of them and we can answer them. But we wanted to open a communication line to the YouTube viewers as well. So what we're doing now is just picking a question every week from someone on YouTube. And this week's question is from Matthew Owens, and he says, if you were to create a new playable race that doesn't already exist in game, what would it be? And the reason why I said it's so appropriate right now is because the Volpera is definitely one of those races. I mean, I know it's a big controversy. A lot of people are like, no, we don't want these furry things in the game. But I mean, a lot of the, well, not a lot, but we already do have kind of furry races. For example,
we have Worgen.
Yeah, we have Worgens. They're furry. They have hair on their bodies.
I asked Wowhead's Twitter a few days ago. I'm like, hey, here's 3 potential ones. Which are you most excited to see? And Volpera were winning, and it has something 5,000, 6,000 responses. So, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
They were more popular than Kul Tiran, and I think I put Sethrak down too. So yeah, Volpera were winning.
Volpera is winning.
But what I would like to personally see is, I'm always a big fan of more elves. So I know that
I love elves.
High elves are, I believe some of them are in the Void Elf allied race starting area, and I think it would be cool if we could explore the high elf history in more detail. I know Chandralar are already night elves, but it'd be cool to explore them in more detail too. They're this secretive night elf sect buried away in a library for years. So yeah, I just like more elf variation. That would be my thing.
Yeah, I think I really like the idea of more types of elves as well. I'm really happy about Void Elves coming in. I'm happy about the Nightborn. I think high elves would actually be a really cool idea if we could get to explore more of that.
Cool.
Yeah, so thank you, Matthew, for your question, and reminder again about what this is, where this question is from. It's a YouTube comment, so if you're interested in having your question answered, you can just type your question on YouTube and we might pick it for next week.
Yep.
And well, it was good that we thought about it now, because this actually wraps up the allied races part. specifically. And we will jump on to the next topic, which is on zone updates, more specifically.
Cat, stop. That was, I'm not, the cat is like attacking me.
And Perk is telling me to stop talking, guys. Yeah. Can we have some bright pot emotes in the chat?
Yeah, come on, baby. They all love you. Why are you biting my arm?
It might be if you get a better chance if you ask here live. I agree completely. I think Twitch is definitely the best way to get your voice heard, but just to open that communication line with YouTube as well, I think is good. But yeah, so the next topic, as mentioned, is the new zone, Borealis. So we have updated screenshots of different areas. And one of the main things to note is that the zone is now more populated. So we can actually see more NPCs and more like humans and other people being around and chilling, whether it's just a random NPC that's walking about, or also NPCs and people standing in stands. Let me show you some pictures here. There you go. So before, the screenshots that we had were completely empty, just showing the beautiful city on its own, and now we have lots of NPCs around.
Yeah, some of my favorite NPCs, which I think will be in the slideshow. Baby, stop. Cat, stop. Some of my favorite NPCs, the marketplace now has NPCs, and there's a bookstore that sells the steamy romance novels, and there's now like a rare book dealer. There is an auctioneer from, I think, Sotheby's, which is a famous auction house in New York, and he makes funny comments now like, oh, we sold a big love rocket. Like, you know, it's like really funny items game to people. And
I was sad about that. I was like, Blizzard, why remind me of the big love rocket?
And they added some more like hostile pirates in the shady part of the city. And just, it just feels more alive, which is always cool. Also in the slideshow, the Proudmoore Keep area has this really cool like map of Kul Tiran surrounded by blue. And it looked cool last build, but it was sort of lacking a lot of textures, and they made it look a lot nicer now. So that's neat. They removed all these ships that were kind of white and blank and obviously unfinished, so they look finished. Especially one ship that Jaina and some quest givers come in now is this gigantic ship in the harbor, which, you know, looks pretty epic. It's definitely a focal point. Should we put spoilers tag up so we can talk about the Borealis quest and then the more spoiler things?
I was getting ready to show the pictures, but that's a good point. Okay. We should probably put
it's kind of minor, but just we want to be on the safe side.
That's true.
This first part's kind of minor. So, you got the slideshow up for the Jaina stuff?
With the quest progression, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I got him now.
Cool. So, what we're seeing on the screen now, as my cat mauls my hand, is the ship we were just talking about. Jaina is on the ship, and if you get onto the ship, she has the quest Lady Catherine's Court. This is one of the quests in the Alliance intro scenario, which was not available before. And in this quest, she is trying to petition her mother that she left on bad terms with to get the Kul Tiran's naval resources and use that to reunite the nations against the Horde, because, you know, the Horde obviously had the Zandalari navy and the Alliance is at a disadvantage. But stuff doesn't really go that well. We've learned previously that this ends with, you know, the player being in prison and Jaina exiled. But now we get a better sense of the unrest. You know, obviously her siding with the Horde and helping Rexar, and then Kul Tiran's kind of acting in a way that the Alliance didn't really consider level-headed, caused a lot of bad blood. And the Kul Tiran sort of abandoned, you know, they sort of hid themselves from the Alliance and deep into Rift. So she's walking through the city, everyone is like, oh, you're a traitor, you're like this daughter, like the evil daughter of the sea in this folk song.
They're asking civilians to back off, and the guards to form a perimeter around her. Like, it's they're actually really afraid and not liking her.
Yeah. So there's just sort of fades to black. We don't actually see the petition, but it's just it's kind of sad seeing her walk through. It kind of reminded me of the Death Knight quest through the major cities. where everyone's like yelling at you. And Jaina does have a few humorous lines, like she's like saying that she's sorry all the time. And in the marketplace, she's like, "Oh, like I love this bakery. It has the best sourdough." Which, it's like a nice detail on its own, but she's also a mage, so it's interesting for that reason as well.
And here you see the line, "You will answer to her for your crimes against Kul Tiran." And with her, they mean her mother.
Right.
So it's like she wants to meet her mother, and the response is, yeah, you will answer to your crimes with her.
Yeah, that's really serious and not serious. What we all thought was going to happen, I think, when we all heard about Battle for Azeroth.
And something interesting with this quest line also, once you have gone through it, is that it further increases and changes how the area and the city looks with further or more NPCs added and just more life to the city.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a bug, a facing bug, but it was.
Oh, it might be. That's a good point.
Yeah. But one thing that's probably not a bug is that once you finish that, the Alliance ship has docked in the harbor, and they're like, "Let's show how we're useful. Like, you should invade these horde areas." And like Alaria's there, and some of the champions that we data mined are there, like like the orcs, and not the orcs, like the dark iron dwarf follower is there, like the gnome follower is there. So it seems like once you do the intro scenario, you have the option to quest Interior Guard or do the quest to attack your enemy city. We could not get very far in that in the alpha because things were bugged, but it's interesting to see how that starts.
Yeah, I think spoiler actually has to stay up.
Yeah, like it's like
with the next topic.
Yeah, this is escalated spoilers.
Definitely. But yeah, moving on from Borealis, we have some other kinds of spoilers of broadcast texts like we have had in the past. And this time we got some more of them on Jaina. The first ones that we can show here is, let's see, this one. And what we can see here is that there is a cutscene with Jaina and her mother, and we can see that her mother is actually urged by Lady Ashvane to treat Jaina as a traitor, and her mother then allows Jaina to be taken away to face justice.
Right, which is interesting as Interior Guard sound. It's later revealed that Lady Ashvane is trying to take over the city and does not have pure intentions. And there is a dungeon called Siege of Borealis where she's talking about throwing tidal waves and looking at Ashara for power. So, Lady Ashvane is trying to purposely drive a wedge between Jaina and her mother.
Definitely. And the Kul Tiran has definitely been affected by all of this in general. So you can see that there's even a folk song made about Jaina, which is up now. So we could maybe read some parts of it to give you guys an idea. Like, beware, beware, the daughter of the seas, beware, I heard him cry. His words carried upon the ocean breeze as he sank beneath the tide. Those blood-soaked shores of Kalimdor, where sailors fought and died, the admiral fell at Theramore because she left his side. Why this, O daughter of the seas? Why this, did you forget your seaside days? And so on. And it's interesting that this has become a folk song among them, which means that it's really, really engraved into all of their minds that Jaina is definitely a traitor and a really bad person, and which explains also why they are reacting so badly when she's just walking along there.
Right. I also feel that people were not sure how much the nation knew about her involvement in the war and, helping the Horde. And it's like, maybe they just were angry that that Jaina sided with the Alliance and the Alliance kind of abandoned them. But now it's like, oh no, they definitely blame her for the death of her father, and they filled in the blanks. And even if they didn't know, even if they don't have 100% proof, they are assuming the possible worst thing, which actually is what happened. And as Jaina walks through the streets, as we were just showing, they call her the daughter of the seas, which is not a good title, as we've learned from this folk song.
Yep. The folk song explains where that comes from. And also here's a little example of a child with their mom who sees Jaina and says, "Mommy, who is that lady?" And she responds, "Come on, we're going home now." Lady Jaina, is that really her? It's the daughter of the sea, traitor, murderer. She's come back to finish us. And I think this is a response from Jaina, maybe, Jaina. Where it just says, "Forgive me." ...
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of problems going on here, which is interesting because I know everyone was just like, oh, like Jaina has been hiding in Legion in, you know, her home nation. And it's like, no, they actually hate her. That's not what she was doing.
Definitely not. That is not where she wanted to spend her time. Well, maybe wanted to, but definitely couldn't.
Right. Yeah.
So the next piece of story that we have here is on Saurfang. Let me get this story up right here. I guess I could read it. Yeah, let's go. I have stopped counting the days I have sat in the cell. It has, however, given me a great deal of time to reflect. You think you're here to take me back to Orgrimmar, back to the War Chief. You are mistaken. After all she has done, I will never return to her horde. What do you mean? Make sure you know the difference between loyalty and honor, and pray you never have to choose.
So, yeah, that's definitely pretty heavy stuff. We've already learned he doesn't escape with the horde in the scenario. He instead goes to Anduin. And we've also learned that he doesn't see eye to eye with Sylvanas in the battle tactics. And so Sylvanas kind of taunts him, saying, you know, you like honor, you'll just be a corpse. Like, you'll be raised just like your dead son. So really interesting to see what's going on Saurfang, especially because, you know, everyone's like, oh, like maybe the orcs will join Saurfang and for the alliance because he's fed up with the horde. And now obviously the Magor orcs are for the horde. But it's curious where this will go. Christy Golden, who's the author of Before the Storm, is always saying, like, you know, if you don't want to pay attention to the storylines, don't read the broadcast text. Some of the stuff may not make it into the final version, so maybe some of this is like old dialogue that's reworked or red herrings, but I don't know. I think a lot of the hints so far, regardless of the language, have been that Saurfang is not following Sylvanas.
Yeah, so definitely probably something will happen to do with that, which is really interesting. Having like two major horde sort of people having such a big tension between them, I think will mean a lot to the horde. What it's exactly going to do, we don't know. Do we have any information on what actually happened after he went to meet Anduin?
Nope.
No. So we still don't really know what that talk is about.
Everyone's like, oh, he brought the orcs to the alliance. Like, well, I'm not sure, like, you know, I wouldn't go that far, but nobody knows what he's done. The one people are speculating that maybe something happens to Saurfang because we got word that, you know, Thrall is a hero we're going to follow in the story in Battle for Azeroth, and we haven't seen Thrall at all. So maybe that's outdated, or maybe, I don't know, something happens to Saurfang and Thrall's like, my friend, I will rejoin the story. But yeah, we don't really know much about that, aside he doesn't escape with you.
Oh, the word I was looking for was figures. Yeah, when I was saying Sylvanas and Saurfang, I was saying two major figures. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. Someone just reminded me. Or someone poked me like, figures, question mark? Yes, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, I think that maybe covers the spoilers for the night, or...
I mean, we're talking... why don't we just keep it up, because we put it up for the Jaina thing, which was pretty obvious that Jaina visits, you know, her homeland, then we should probably just keep it up being for this next part.
Okay, yeah, let's keep it up then. So the next part here that we're going to talk a bit about is the questing that is done on the enemy continent. So we have the Horde going into Drustvar, and we have the Alliance going on to Zuldazar. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's talk about the Alliance one, because that's interesting. So some of this is already old knowledge. We know that the Alliance tries to work with the Blood Trolls in Nazmir, and that goes really badly because the Blood Trolls, like, sacrificing everything. Oh, yeah. But the new bit of information is that the Alliance decide to attack Zuldazar, and their ship is destroyed, which is really bad because they already did not get the Navy in Tiergard Sound, and now the Stormwind ship is also ruined. the Horde are very happy about this. The Alliance quest is, this is a complete disaster. It's bad enough that the prisoners got away. It's even worse that our ship was destroyed and we have no way back to Stormwind, and now it's the Forsaken and are preventing us from saving our people. So that did not really go well for the Alliance at all.
No. Nope.
And that won't really endear them to the people in Tierra who are like, oh, like, you ask for everything, and like you can't take care of yourselves, and like why should we help you? So yeah, that's not going well.
Nope, not at all. And if we move on to what the Horde is going through in Drustvar, we have this.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the interesting part here was was that Gallowix is involved.
Yep, and he's not being very stealthy about this, and the purpose is to get intel. And Gallowix is like, no, I'm just gonna like ride around on my motorcycle and make a profit and get more Azurite. So it seems like he's already making some blunders in these introductory quests, and unsurprisingly, there'll probably be even more blunders as questing continues.
Yep.
So, yeah, and as we learned in the Q&A briefly, just there will be alternate leveling routes. You can level in your home continent, but there will also be a way to do quests in the enemy continent, and it's called Chapters of War, and that's tied to some things like the mission table system and some max level content and stuff. So, which is actually a really good transition into the next topic. We need no more spoiler stuff, which was
more spoilers. Time for Q&A.
Yeah, the other stuff we learned besides the Kul Tiran allied race. So I think the first thing, just sort of going rapid fire, we have a whole live stream about this, live blog. The artifact traits, you can still equip your artifact in patch 8.0 pre-patch, but all the traits are disabled. So, you could always use the weapon for like RP, or just the pure eye level is fine. And then you just use it, and then eventually you get new weapons to replace it. But that kind of goes along with the theory that our weapons, absorbed too much power and they went unstable, and then, they just sort of fell apart.
So that's probably how they're just gonna stay, right?
Yeah.
Probably so just sort of like inactive, but just there with the stats.
Yeah.
So does that mean we can't collect any more AP at that point?
I assume AP is gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
Yeah. Another thing, they had a few Mythic Plus questions. They said that the ones you get in Keystone 10, like Tyrannical and Fortified, will be now the baseline on your Keystone level 2. And they're planning for the level 10 ones instead they call them like Kiss Curse benefits, how you get like a really cool benefit, but there's a really big downside. And they said the data mined ones so far were early experiments, and they don't really like what they did so far with them. So don't expect the new data mined ones to be what's going to happen, really.
Something else that was talked about, which is very interesting, is the looting system. So it seems like they are looking towards making raid loot system not have the master looter form, which, if in case you're not familiar with exactly what that means, for example, if you're in a guild, all the loot will be kind of like group loot, decided by one person who the loot will be going to. And it seems like they're going away from that to turn it into just personal loot. I don't know if that means that group loot will be gone in general for raids.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was I was not really expecting them to reveal that or ask that question. The rationale was, people mainly use personal loot. Sometimes they use master loot mostly for tier sets, but that's going away. So let's just do personal for raids.
Yeah. And he mentioned split raiding as a specific thing for the reasoning around this, which is very interesting because split raiding is something that doesn't necessarily affect everyone. So it's really interesting, like why and where this is going to go to.
I don't think it was the main reason, but he was like, an unintended benefit is that we're not the biggest fans of split raiding, and this should cut down on that incentive or reasoning, which I don't know. I feel like it's worth a blog post just because, people that do raid at high levels are very passionate, and it's easy to have context lost in tone, and you can get more feedback, if there was a blog post on it. And no one likes to be told like, oh, you know, this change is because we are not a fan of how you like consume this type of content that you really like. That sort of puts anyone on the defensive. So,
and honestly, I think even if they would do this, my guess is that gear would still be tradable. So, I mean, if gear is still tradable, then you could technically still do split rates to some extent. Yeah, maybe it won't really affect things much. Maybe they just want to sort of clean up the loot system to make it less options and more clean and more understandable for people.
Yep.
And it also means that if they remove group loot altogether for these raids, that also means that you won't get loot that no one can use. So, like, it'll be personal loot, which means at least it's usable by your class, which is interesting. Mm-hmm.
They also talked about heritage armor. Like, heritage armor is really cool. Could old factions maybe get them? And Ian was like, you know, hey, that is a cool idea, but it's not really an 8.0 feature. But who knows? Maybe it could be a 9.0 feature.
Yeah.
He also threw out some crazy ideas, being like, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if there's racial quests?" Okay, don't hold me to that. Like, that was just me talking at the top of my head.
Yeah. I think the kind of idea that, or the kind of impression that he gave when he was talking about these things is that he does, or they do, like the idea of giving more, not just heritage armor, but also like more customization and more things in general for the older races as well, for people to feel, you know, some kind of refreshment, you know, something new, but it's not a priority because they have all their artists and people working on the allied races, since that is a higher priority at the moment. But it is possible in the future. The idea is open and definitely in the air, just not something in the nearest future.
Yep. They asked about prestige rewards. You can still get them through PvP. They're not going to make them unobtainable or cheapen the effort required and put them on a vendor. They did say they probably are not going to keep adding prestige ranks and rewards because someone, like, you know, 2 years from now is going to be like, oh my god, it's prestige 80. Like, I need to get this, do 80 levels for a new pet. So,
yeah.
I feel like the current system, you can get the pets and stuff still through doing amounts of actual PvP, but probably not more prestige ranks and pets and mounts tied to that going forward.
Yeah, I was hoping for a catch-up system. I want to get my mounts, and it's taking very long to farm it. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe there will be a catch-up system after all. But at the moment, it doesn't look like they're looking into it.
Yep. And then finally, they answered one of my questions, which was basically, you know, whenever I post the data mining about followers on Wowhead, people are really concerned about missions and followers and time sinks. And I was like, you know, what's the deal with the mission table? And, you know, are there any changes from Legion? And they said roughly the same as Legion, but smaller. Instead of the order hall being the narrative, it will be the, like, enemy territory war campaign. And they said that they do realize that time gating content behind missions was bad, and they're not going to
not fun.
Do that. So it's not going to be like Insurrection, where it's like, oh, you must do like 10 missions to go on to the next thing, or you like have to like send your followers out on this like long warrior mission to finish the class alt campaign. That sort of stuff won't be a thing.
Yeah, it seems like they went from having the garrison missions, which were really big, like so many followers and so many, like, everything, and then they condensed it a little bit, made it smaller and more focused with Legion, and now it seems it's going to be even smaller with BFA, which is probably a good direction to go.
Yeah. And yeah, there were more things that were asked at the Q&A, but you can check out the Wowhead post for it. You know, there was like PvP CC and like primary stats and, you know, just like a lot of more specialized things if you want to hear about that sort of stuff. There's also some really funny gifs, like Ian was like, I like Snapchat. And then Laura was like, oh, can we, you know, have a flocking ability in Mythic Plus? It's just a bunch of seagulls. So lots of fun stuff going on there.
Definitely worth watching.
Yeah. I think we're about done with the Battle for Azeroth part of the show. So now we've got some live news to cover quick, and also talk about some cool improvements that's going on Wowhead itself. So Yeah. Do you want to run down the stuff you can do in WoW this week?
Do you want to take the MDI time trials?
Oh yeah, so the MDI time trials have started. This is the second round of what's going on with MDI. The first round was Proving Grounds. With the time trials, you have to complete specific dungeons. I'm just putting it up so I can actually like not misquote myself. So in the time trial, you have to do Maw of Souls, Upper Caravan, and Neltharian's Lair. And there's a certain combination of abilities, and there's a minimum keystone amount you need to hit with them. You need to push yourself to see how fast you can run all of the dungeons, add all 3 times together for the time trial score, and then the top 8 scores for each region move on to the regional bracket stage. This kicks off on Tuesday, March 27th. Proving ground entries have to be submitted on March 16th, and then the time trials kick off on the 27th. As part of our Mythic Plus content, we have a series of guides that highlights all the abilities if you want to plan your own route. We have a series of guides talking about usually the best routes, and J.B, who's on one of the most kind of decorated Mythic Plus teams, is also giving advice on Wowhead. What are the best dungeons for certain combinations? So lots of Mythic Plus stuff on Wowhead if you need it.
Yeah. I didn't know the specifics either, so I needed to open like the dates and things like that. So I just threw it on to you, and then you had to do the same thing.
Yeah, there's like so much. It's been cool. There's been all this
so
like
much
beta
specific.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh, in addition to beta, there's like we've got like a Mythic Plus interview, and then like a Mythic Plus guide, and then a time trial. So I'm just like, okay, like what's actually going on with the time trial versus like something else we highlighted with Mythic Plus.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really cool to see how it's like explosion of Mythic Plus content.
Oh, definitely. I love the fact that MDI is becoming more popular and more people are getting involved into it, and there's lots of work and guides that people are putting work into, and so that even more people can take part of it. I think it's awesome. I think it's definitely building something for the community to make something of and join. So I think it's great.
Cool.
Another thing which is currently live and worth talking about is Ungoro Madness, which is a micro holiday. I believe the first one was last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was time to celebrate Ungoro Madness, which was the Hearthstone themed update that was like all dinosaurs and stuff, and basically like dinosaurs just run around Ungoro. Which reminds me, I should make a post being like, hey, if you like Ungoro Madness, make sure you check out all these other dinosaurs that are coming in Battle for Azeroth.
Yeah, good point. Good point. But yeah, I find it really funny how it's like Perk said, it's to do with the Hearthstone expansion, the Ungoro Hearthstone expansion, and there's even, I don't know if I can find it right now, but there was like an item which if you target someone, it gives you like an adaptation. And if you're familiar with Hearthstone, you have, I think that was the first expansion when adaptations were introduced, so it's like definitely a sort of string connection there to that expansion. But yeah, the idea of adapting a minion in Hearthstone cards, putting that into Warcraft is pretty funny. I like when when Blizzard puts like cross things across different games that they have.
Yeah.
Is there specific dates for this event?
It's the 17th to the 19th, I think, or the 16th. It's like pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah, so in the next few days you can check it out if you're interested. I don't think there's anything major, I don't think there's anything major to collect.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, it's just for fun. Just for fun. The next thing, which does have collectible things and is live at the moment, is Cataclysm Time Walking. So Cataclysm Time Walking means that there's dungeons from Cataclysm expansion which are now scaled to current level. And by doing these dungeons, you also get these special currency called Time Walking... What is it called? Time warped badges. Yeah, that's what it is. And as you earn these badges, you can use them to get cool collectible stuff, such as toys and even the mount, which is the one that is sold by this one. is, or maybe it doesn't have a mount.
It doesn't have a mount. It has the Deathwing toy and the weird goblin toy.
That's it. But you can still collect the badges for next time when the mount vendor is up. So it's definitely worth doing. Even if you don't feel like doing too many of them, doing it once gives you the 500 badge quest. So it's really worth doing it. That's actually how I got most of my toys and stuff. I did the quest, so completing it once on all of my ults, so that eventually I could suddenly afford everything at once, because all of my ults ended up having like thousands of badges. So if you want to be time efficient, you can do that. If you just enjoy time walking in general, then you can run the dungeons as many times as you want to and keep farming them. And of course, there's also the rare mount that can drop from the bosses, the Infinite Time Raver, which I got like a month ago, I think. So
congrats!
Thank you.
Yeah,
maybe it's 2 months. I don't know, but quite recently. So that's definitely a mount which is interesting that you can get only during time walking.
Yep. So the next thing that was a cool like little bit of live news was Blizzard did a community spotlight on interesting charity events or large group events in 2017. And the really notable piece of news was that the Shadow the Fox charity Pet and Plush raised 1.8 million for a charity. This was the little Argus pet that changed between purple and yellow.
I have a picture, actually.
There they added it slightly earlier than usual because there was a lot of disasters happening in the world at a certain time. So it was cool they left the donation period earlier than usual. And yeah, just, great job, everyone.
Yeah,
it's nice
$1.8 million for the pet Shadow.
15 million total for the program over the years.
I think that's amazing. Like having like a little thing like a pet, like little pixels that some of us love, be able to raise so much for charity is amazing. And speaking of Shadow, that is actually the giveaway which is going on right now in the chat. So if you wanna get your own, if you wanna have a chance to get your own, you can type Shadow in the chat to enter the raffle.
Yeah. And yeah, this next part's kind of cool. It's really cool lore stuff. Amazon recently put up a ton of pages previewing World of Warcraft Chronicle, and Polygon also got part of a chapter to reveal. And it's a ton of pages. There's lots of beautiful artwork, and even though this covers the events of like Warcraft 3 through Cataclysm, there are still a lot of little tidbits that maybe players didn't know, and it's nice to just see everything, laid out in an organized fashion, so we know what's, question canon, and just everything all nice and organized. So let's see. I think the first thing I want to highlight is in the slideshow, there's a really cool picture of Arthas, I think, in Stratholme, how, he's still a prince, but he's got blood on his hands, and just really conflicted, dark moment for him. There's a piece of art we showed earlier a few months ago where Arthas and Jaina were very happy together, so it's, sad seeing his progression. Some of the major lore reveals is that there's a page that we previewed on Wowhead that talks about how Sylvanas both reached out to the Alliance and Horde, and the Alliance never returned. Her embassies to Alliance never returned. They were murdered, and the Blood Elves did not want to help her as well, which is very interesting because, the Blood Elves didn't help her, and, she took pity on them with Burning Crusade. So it's like, wow, that's actually really interesting, strength of character, and explains why she doesn't trust anyone if, her former homeland, kind of cast her aside. So Thrall and Carne Bloodhoof were the ones that took sympathy on Sylvanas. There's also references that different factions are responsible for different boss kills in WoW's history, which is something you don't really think about. Like they said, Horde took down Magtheridon, and Alliance cleared Serpent Shrine Cavern. And, everyone is just always like, oh, who got the world first? Oh, it was like a Horde guild or an Alliance guild. But apparently it's canon, which, faction helped take care of certain things, which I guess makes sense. Like, it's you wouldn't expect, okay, the Alliance and Horde are working together to clear this dungeon or raid threat. It would have to be, one group taking the initiative for that.
I see someone asking for the link. If we could have the link for the article, the Wowhead article, that would be awesome. And in this on this website or on this page, you can also actually read the lore that Perk is talking about. So it's a lot more than we're actually showing in the slideshows. So that's pretty cool.
Two other cool things. One is that we learned a bit about the Lich King's motivations. And even when he's a Lich King, Arthas is still kind of a tragic hero. He said that, as a paladin, Arthas had always sought to bring order and justice to Azeroth, but the desire remained, and it's now far more twisted than ever before. A world ruled by the undead would have no more injustice, no more wars, no more mortal flaws. Perhaps most importantly to the Lich King, he believed his followers would be far more capable of defending Azeroth against the threats that would try to conquer it. Neither the demons nor power of the void would rest until they control the world. A fractured world, constantly beset by skirmishes between the Alliance and Horde, simply would not be prepared for another incursion, either of Cthulhu or the Burgeon Legion's attempts. So it's like, he's trying to make his undead army big to save the world from, the Burning Legion, which, hey, we were just trying to defeat as well. So it's just, I don't know, it's all really interesting to see how we're approaching the problem very differently than Arthas, but had the same, I guess, idea.
Yeah.
And then the final thing, which was interesting, ties back into what we're talking about with Jaina. It was the anger of Kul Tiran, and
I find that really cool that it's included here.
Yeah. It's his people cried out for vengeance for his death, but the rest of the Alliance did not seek it. The plague of undeath had left the Alliance reeling, and its other leaders had little pity for Dalen Proudmoore, who had launched a war of aggression. In fury, the people isolated themselves from the rest of the Alliance, but their anger was not focused on King Varian or any of the other Alliance leaders. Instead, they grew to hate Jaina Proudmoore, the daughter who had betrayed her family. So there you go. And it's also kind of sad. It's like, well, yeah, maybe you should have blamed the king or the people that are actually in charge, not just Jaina, but that's how it turned out.
Yeah. Poor Jaina. Well, hopefully these are issues that we will take care of when we go there as the Alliance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it seems like there's lots of lore on this Chronicle Volume 3, and the pictures are beautiful as well. And as you can see in the link that we posted slightly before, you can see that there's 2 chapters right now, which are, I guess, public as a preview. And there's more in the book if you get it yourself. And I think it's pretty cool. There's lots of lore, lots of beautiful pictures, and yeah. Looking forward to getting to read more of it.
Yeah. So finally, our final segment will cover just some cool stuff we've been doing on Wowhead recently. We, in addition to all the beta, alpha data mining, we try to keep, new content and features coming in on the site. So just a quick shout out as to what we've been doing. Earlier this week, we announced a collaboration with Method for top-end PvP guides written by some of the highest-ranked professionals, gladiators in WoW esports. We are currently up to 21 guides. These go into advice on honor talent builds, racial traits, strong team compositions, everything you need to know about PvP. And it's been really cool that Method has been able to coordinate this with us and to house the guides on Wowhead. You might know Method as a raid, top-end raid team, but they have grown to be an esports organization that has a bunch of MDI and PvP teams, as well as a lot of teams with other games, and they also do cool community stuff like the Wowhead parties. So a lot of people have really been excited about the guides and have requested more, and we're working really hard to bring you more guides. We have 6 more in the works, so thank you so much for your support on them.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that there's so many PvP videos as well. So there's like Prick mentioned, there's so many different aspects of PvP, and having all these great players being able to put in what they know or what they want to share is really cool. So it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And then on the PvE front, one of our Wowhead guide writers, Palinel, completed the artifact challenge on all 36 specs, and he volunteered to update all of the artifact challenge guides to make sure they're current for 7.3.5. And he also wrote a getting started with the Mage Tower guide, which covers how to get prepared for it in a week of solo play, so you can get those sweet artifact appearances, since you will not be able to acquire it for transmog when 8.0 hits. So that's really crazy. Cool.
How? Yeah. He's done it on 36 specs.
Yep.
That's crazy. So I've done it on like 5, and I thought I was doing really good.
After every spec, he like goes and like checks the guide and like sees if it's useful, and then made edits to it, and then shared all of his knowledge, how he, leveled like 12 characters, and got them fully geared up without going crazy in the full Mage Tower guide. So really awesome effort, and we'll be highlighting that whenever the Mage Tower is now up.
Has there been any word on whether, because a lot of people mention, especially for Druids, I guess with other specs it doesn't really make sense, but for Druid a lot of people are saying that maybe the transmog would be spec specific?
Interesting. Yeah, I should have asked that at the Q&A. I'll make sure to ask that next time, because I think they always keep saying, oh, Druids were undecided, but yeah.
And for the others, it shouldn't be spec specific, should it?
Yeah, I don't think... Is it? I'm not sure. I know the requirements for the other tints are not spec specific. So if you like do your RBGs for one tint, you get the other tints. But yeah, I will try to clarify that.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because some people were mentioning how, like, for example, if you're an Affliction Warlock, then you get these skins, or you get the transmog for a staff then, right? And then if you, in BFA, play an Affliction Warlock who uses, like, a one-handed sword, then you don't have any transmog. I don't think it makes sense. I don't think they would make it spec specific. Like if you have if you want to use the demonology offhand transmog, it feels like it should be possible even if you play affliction. Because another point of having it spec specific is well, let's say like you're a warlock who switches between specs. Does that mean when you switch specs suddenly your appearance will just disappear?
Right.
Like, it feels kind of clumsy. So, I don't know. I would think that it's possible to use it on any spec, as long as you have the correct weapon type.
Right. I guess, yeah, that's something that would be really good to clarify.
But yeah, so then for Druids, it kind of makes sense. Or, like, what does it mean? Like, if you transmog it into, like, a feral one, does that mean your regular form will not be transmogged? Or...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they really need to clarify Druids and maybe do a reminder like, hey, this is what's going and leaving in Battle for Azeroth. Speaking of kind of transmog models, the final thing we wanted to bring up is that in addition, well, because we've been doing all these allied race updates to the dressing room, we tried to improve some sort of underlying parts of the dressing room and make them even better. So like all models now have more like sparkly effects and like glow details that are more high definition than before, so all allied races look prettier. And we have a few more minor updates like that in the works. We also took a look at the animations we were letting players access in the dressing room, and we enabled, I think, over 300 more potential animations. So lots of cool new poses. Some armor should look even more epic than before. Some good examples are armor with glow effects. So like the Void Elf Heritage armor has more sparkles, and the Nightborn feathers, look even more feathery. So, definitely check that out. We're thrilled with the support we've gotten with the dressing room, especially with allied races. So many people are so creative and love using it and recommending it. So, we definitely want to keep that tool the best possible tool it can be.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Wowhead is always like working on all the different parts of things to make everything better.
Aw, thank you.
I'm proud of you guys.
Aw. So
yeah,
we have we have a few questions that Sass forwarded, but we're done with the official show notes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that covers the content that we had planned to talk about at least. And now, we got some questions.
Yeah. Let's see. I think a few of them are stuff we covered. Um,
Oh, and Sass also mentions that it's the final call for the giveaway. So if you want to enter the
yeah.
giveaway, you just type shadow in the chat and then you wait and see if you become the winner. And if you do win, you have to remember that you have to whisper Sass. And this is just to make sure it's not some kind of weird bot that's going around or someone who comes in, writes the word and then like happens to leave the chat and then can never claim the prize and things like that. So just make sure that you whisper afterwards.
Yeah, so Nix10 says, do you think we will get new mount achievements for collecting 400 or 450 mounts? I think Blizzard said they weren't adding more mount totals. What are your thoughts on this? Because you really like mounts.
I was expecting a 400.
Interesting. I don't know if they'll have achievements but not rewards, because I know people were asking about 350 after 300, and I thought they said no back in the day.
Okay. I was thinking since the new expansions normally means a ton of new mounts are added, like normally lots of new mounts for different factions and lots of new mounts in general, like out in the open. But maybe do you think they're also trying to reduce the amount of mounts?
No, I don't think so, especially, we keep allied race needs a mount, and dinosaur needs a mount, and there's bees, and there's spiders, and there's all sorts of crazy mounts.
Yeah, I think normally they add lots of new mounts with a new expansion. Like everyone who's like struggling to reach a certain number, usually with a new expansion, are like manage to get to that number. So if you're struggling to get 300, usually when the new expansion hits, there will be a lot of mounts that are like pretty easy to get. So you should be able to reach that. And with that, I would expect like the next level of achievement, but I guess we'll see. Yeah, I was expecting like a 400 one, or at least a 50.
Yeah,
Yes, we'll see.
Explosion asked, are there mounts you can only get in one faction? There are lots of mounts, like the allied race mounts you can only use on the alliance, or horde faction, the faction associated with that. If you need any help, there's lots of Wowhead guides, as well as, if you just go to the page for the mount, it will show the faction that you can use it on.
Mm-hmm. And lots of mounts that are faction specific usually, I think usually has the counterpart. I mean, like the counter mount on the other faction as well. So, yeah. Well, obviously these allied races don't, but there are some mounts that do.
Yeah. The Explosion also asked, do you think allied races will get new animations for other classes than Druid? Yeah, we kind of covered that, how we, added all these new animations being added to the dressing room so you can check out a lot of options. It seems like even just random NPCs have different idle poses. So if you go around Borealis, there's people kind of like slouching on the docks or just like leaning back with their legs crossed or, their arms crossed. So yeah, I mean, everyone is getting new animations and trying to look more realistic and less like stiff and like in weird poses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we didn't cover this on the show. Taylor131313 says, question for Perk. Blizzard much stated that pineapple pizza is bad. What is your opinion about it? So my opinion is that it is hilarious. And if you don't know what this is, if you haven't seen the Wowhead tweet about it,
I can try and get the picture quickly.
Yeah. This new build added an item called pineapple pizza. The use is restores no health and reduces stamina by 5% for 30 seconds. And the flavor text is just terrible. So
I can't believe it. When I saw that, I was furious. I was like, what? Why?
Like pineapple pizza then.
Yeah. Do you not like it?
No. So see, it's like
I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Conflict here. It's like Alliance versus Horde here.
Hey, this is worse than Alliance versus Horde, okay? Wait, I'm gonna show you guys the picture.
Yeah.
Here. Okay, I think I've got it here.
Cool.
There we go. This is the picture that's going around on Twitter. It says, pineapple pizza restores no health and reduces stamina by 5% for 30 seconds. I mean, pineapple it's basically just sweet, right? I mean, do you not like sweet things, Perk?
But like pizza is like sauce and cheese and savory, and sweet stuff is like ice cream with a fruit topping, not pizza.
Well, do you do you not eat anything, any food with sweet stuff? Like, do you not eat like pasta with some kind of sweet curry sauce?
I mostly have I mostly have it with savory stuff, but not pizza. This pizza is savory. Like there is New York style pizza, like not pineapple style pizza.
Actually, I have noticed in America they have a lot more cheesy and a lot more meaty pizzas. I think
Yeah.
here in Sweden we have like a bigger variety of things. It's funny because a lot of people complain about pineapple pizza, but then here in Sweden we have banana on pizza, which is like the
I
next level sweetness.
I think so. There's a pie crust. There's a pizza place near me that has a certain type of pie crust, and they always have savory crust, except for the Nutella pizza, which is more like a pastry pie crust. And I know some people are like, "Ew, Nutella pizza," and I think it's great. So I don't know. Maybe I can sympathize.
Wait, you think Nutella is okay on pizza, but pineapple is not?
Yes, you have it with
What?
the right pie
That's
crust.
chocolate.
It's like a big like crepe with like it's like a thick crepe.
Have you tried pineapple on pizza?
Like I just it's so weird. I don't know.
So you haven't tried it. This is the problem, guys. People who don't like it just haven't tried it. Okay, I think we've solved the problem here.
Yes.
And whoever made this buff or this item, pineapple pizza, needs to get fired. Can we make that happen?
Ooh,
Petition?
strong.
No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. No, but I think this discussion is really funny because it's so good. Like, how can you not like it? Yeah, we have bananas on pizza in Sweden. And
I don't know.
I love them. I think they're very good.
Europe does things differently. I don't know. I don't know about this banana stuff on pizza.
If you ever come to Sweden, I'm gonna have to make you eat that. I think you'll like it.
Okay,
We actually had
I'll
some
be open.
Americans come here. Well, not to eat banana on pizza, but they tried it and they were like, okay, it's actually not that bad. And initially they were like, how can you have banana on pizza?
One more question quickly. It's High Elves. This is Genres TV. If High Elves ever became an allied race, do you think they'd be a neutral race like the Pandaren, as there are two elf races with the Alliance and Horde already? I feel like the High Elves might be a pipe dream, sadly. I feel like if anything would be neutral or coming would be the Tortolan, who kind of have the skeleton of the Pandaren, and they're already in both places. Also, I feel like the High Elves are kind of Alliance leaning, but they like to be removed from stuff. But that's just my thought. But it might be interesting. Obviously, I like more elves. But I don't know. It seems like the elves are kind of the driving force. Like the Void Elves left the Silver Moon, and the Night Elves are annoyed that Tal'Darsol is burned down. So it feels like if you're an elf, you kind of have to pick a side.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, as an elf, I think you have to sort of pick a side, and I'm sure if that would be the case, there would be lots of lore and lots of story to explain what's going on. But a neutral race, like, I don't know, it makes sense with pandas because they kind of like they're sort of Zen people, and I don't think it would make sense for an elf to be a neutral race.
Yeah.
It feels like they would pick a side.
Yeah.
Based on something that's going on.
Yeah. So the winner of the giveaway was a Smelly TV.
Good point. Before you
congrats.
mention that, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Their home was their home was burnt to the ground. The night elves, at least. So,
okay, so I thought you meant Smelly TV. I was like, oh my god.
Oh
like,
no!
I was
No.
like, wow, I'm so sorry. Like,
With things like that also happening, like maybe that also would mean that they would lean a bit more towards the alliance. But yeah, sorry, go on. Well,
yeah,
you said Smelly is the winner. Is that what you
yeah,
said?
Smelly is the winner of the Shadow Pet in Twitch chat.
Okay, yeah, Smelly, I hope I'm not cursing your home now. I'm sending you all the good stuff, all the good vibes, and congratulations on your new pet.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching us. Especially everyone tuning in from Wowhead. We've been getting a lot of support with the show on the front page. People seem to like it. So, yeah, I'm just always really happy we can answer questions and share all the cool data mining and make it fun and remind you of stuff going on around the community or stuff you should do on live servers. So, yeah.
If
Awesome.
you're, in case you're new to the show, Wowhead Weekly is weekly, as in the name, and we cover World of Warcraft news on a weekly basis, and we do it right here on Twitch, same time every week, unless something's going on, which
I think
makes
we
it
might
not possible.
move it. We want to move it to 1 p.m. It just was kind of rough, like, and he had some family stuff, and like the build was super late, and the Q&A was at 11, so it's like we can't even do the notes in advance.
Yeah,
But
so we might actually start an hour earlier next week, which makes the EU people even happier. The fact that we started at 10 p.m. today, what is it, 11?
yeah.
No, it was 10 p.m. for Central European time. And got a lot of good feedback about, whoa, EU friendly. That means I can stay up for it, which is awesome. That means lots more people hopefully could tune into it too. So yeah, that's something that we can see for next time as well, to be possibly 1 hour even earlier.
Like that was so funny because to me, so EU and US are totally different. Like we're out of sync for a few weeks.
Oh, have you guys had your time saving thingy?
So you're like, we're starting an hour early, and I'm like, we're starting at the same time. Like, what do you mean?
Okay, that explains. Okay, communication error. So this is not an hour earlier for you?
No, it's not.
Okay, for me it is. That explains everything. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, this is really confusing. So when I said like, yeah, we're going for this time, right? And let's say like 1 hour or whatever it was, and she was like, yeah, and maybe next time we can go an hour earlier. And I was like, okay, we already went an hour earlier, but sure, if you want to go another hour earlier, I'm not complaining.
Yep.
Okay. So when do we have the time zone difference thing in Sweden, or the time zone? I mean, the time change to summertime.
Yeah.
Anyone know?
Yeah. Help, Twitch chat.
But yeah, okay, that's good to keep in mind. So okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. End of the month. Okay.
Yep.
A week after this weekend. Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can switch then, so it's not like us constantly messing up our schedules.
Yeah, maybe we should wait until that.
Yeah, it's so confusing announcing things, being like, Wowhead Weekly, now at 1 p.m. and 10 p.m. Oh, 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. It's like,
yeah. Yep. Shouldn't you know, Annie? You're the one who lives there. Yeah, I should know these things. I just spend too much time on the internet instead. And I don't know, the fact that I'm just always talking to lots of people from different places, the whole time thing is like really weird for me in my head. I guess that's what happened when you have internet. Like, you have friends living everywhere in the whole world, that time just doesn't matter in the same way.
Yeah, like it's like there's so many people allowed that just are around the world, and they're like, oh, like, I have an issue, I'll just message someone. I'm like, hey, it's like 10 p.m. for them. Like, I don't think they're going to be around if you just like ask in chat if they're around. They're like, oh, it's like, it's like noon for me. It's like, oh yeah.
Yep. Yep. So many things like that. Yeah, I live in a timeless zone. That's it. It's called the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah. Were there any other questions?
I haven't gotten any from Sass, so I think we're good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, in that case, it is time to wrap up the show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, for getting involved in the chat, for subscribing, for following, for just being around and watching, everyone in the Twitch chat and everyone on the Wowhead page as well, because we are on the front page of Wowhead. So hello to you guys as well, if you can hear us right now. And yeah, we will see you guys again next week. Also, a special shout, I keep hitting my hand on my table, a special shout out to people who are subscribed to Wowhead Premium. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a subscription on the Wowhead site, which one of the coolest perks about it is it removes ads, and then it also has other cool perks such as a different or unique name to your, or unique color, sorry, to your name when you type in the forums. So yeah, so thank you guys for that. And of course, it also supports Wowhead. So
yep,
there's that as well. But
helps us keep data mining at crazy hours, and paying our guide writers and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, yeah, that's it, boys and girls. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep. See you sometime Thursday afternoon next week, and we'll have
I don't even dare say a time anymore.
Yeah, Thursday afternoon with the latest alpha news and fun stuff on light servers and new guide updates.
Mm-hmm.
So
the coolest perk for Wowhead is perk.
Aww,
that's actually really cute.
Thank you.
I like that.
Aww,
I like that. But yeah, take care, guys, and we'll see you all next week.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Bye.